A Lookout You Mob, it's Joel Wiggins here, and welcome to the very first episode of the A Lookout podcast. We've got some very special guests in the house today, Joshua and Natasha Lane. We're recording here in beautiful far north Queensland in Townsville. Josh, can you tell me what you do and what are the many hats you wear?
Well, Joel, I just want to say it is so great to be the very first guest on the A Lookout podcast. Me and Natasha are huge fans of you and your career and what you're doing and of your heart as well. So we're excited to be here. It's great to be here. What do you think, Tash?
Yeah, awesome.
It is great to be here. Yeah.
Yeah, we're talking about, you got to intro you.
Tash has got a good vibe going on. Well, look.
I got a good vibe.
I wear a
Tell
lot.
us about your hats, Josh.
I got a lot of different hats because I got a pretty big head. You know what I mean? I gotta cover it all, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm losing some hair too, so a hat make me look younger. You know what I mean? Keep me look young.
You got a pretty deadly hat on now.
Yeah, that's it. Well, this is
Yeah.
this is one of my running hats
Oh.
because I wear it when I run at night time because I'm the night runner. You know, at night time I get out and I go for a run.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you know, like watch out, here I come. You know, like keeping slim, trim, beautiful. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the one.
So that's why I got this hat. I bought this hat for running at night. But I do wear a lot of other hats that aren't physical hats. And they're all the different kind of things that I like to do. And I got a lot of great jobs. You know, I'm a really big believer in connecting people to whatever it is to make them flourish and grow. And so big part of that is I do a lot of chaplaincy. So I've done chaplaincy for, I think, up to 17 years now.
Yeah, wow.
In all different contexts, high schools, primary schools, residential houses. I'm currently the chaplain in the Youth Detention Centre in Townsville and at Cowboys Residential House. And so as a chaplain, what you want to do, a good chaplain, will really help connect people to the resources or to opportunities that will help them grow and flourish. And so as part of that, I do a few other things. You know, I'm part of the Townsville First Nations Community Council, so we do a lot of advocacy for local issues in our community, talking to MPs and senior government workers, writing submissions, really just advocating at that level. And then me and Natasha also, with a few other friends, we founded Queensland Youth Connections, and I'll let Natasha talk a bit about that, but I'm currently the volunteer chair for that organisation, so I kind of do a bit of work there. And lastly, I do help Scripture Union Australia nationally with their First Nation engagement as a national cultural lead. So Scripture Union Australia is quite a large company. I think they have 1,200 plus employees, 5,000 plus volunteers, around 50, 60 managers across Australia.
Yeah,
so
wow.
I give them advice and help them with project design for First Nation engagement programs.
Yeah, awesome. And Tash?
Wow. That's impressive, Josh.
Yeah, I know.
Like, what?
That's a good resume right
Well,
there.
the most impressive thing is I'm married to Natasha Lane.
Wow.
And, my late father, he said that my greatest achievement in life was marrying Natasha.
Oh, there you go. That's good.
So, she's beautiful. She's funny. She puts up with me. So, yeah.
Yep.
Sometimes I just get lost in their minds.
Okay,
Hey, look,
thank you.
They're like
Thank
the ocean
you.
and I'm drowning.
Hey,
Okay,
look,
let's stop. Thanks, Josh. So what do? I am the Managing Director of Queensland Youth Connections, Indigenous Corporation. We do a lot of work with young people and supporting young people in their next step, whatever that's going to look like for them, because we believe that everybody deserves to have someone believe in them. So that's kind of your journey with people, just little things, big things. I love it. That's what I do. Also record a podcast, The Streets Yarn. Do that. Gets played on the local radio here in Townsville.
And distributed across the world on Spotify.
Yeah,
It's
totally.
a Spotify
We've gone
exclusive.
international, guys.
Oh, come on. So for those of you listening, subscribe to The Streets Yarn on Spotify.
Yes.
And go follow them on Instagram.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, thank you.
All the latest and the greatest trends with the street
Yes.
yarns.
And I'm a big advocate for people using their voice. So whatever sphere of influence that they're in, really encouraging and trying to inspire people to stand up more for social justice issues in the community.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Very
And
cool.
Natasha, how does that actually work out in in a multi-year cycle for you? What are some of the things that you use to demonstrate your voice?
So you mean what have I done previously?
Yeah.
So previously I ran as a independent for the state elections last October. And that was a fun experience. Really definitely have political aspirations in that area too. So yeah.
Ooh, hey, look out.
Hey, look out.
Yeah,
Here
hey,
she
look
comes,
out.
eh?
That's right. Natasha Lane, MP.
That sounds impressive, eh?
Yeah, well, we need more First Nations people to be entering political spheres of influence.
Absolutely. I completely agree.
Yeah.
All right. So it's NAIDOC week. And the theme for NAIDOC week this year is Next Generation, Strength, Vision, and Legacy. And I want to ask you guys, what does that theme mean to you, and how can we as First Nations people and non-Indigenous people as well support that theme and continue to support NAIDOC week? So we'll start with you, Tash.
Oh, thanks. I love this theme because I think it's about the elders and the past things that they've had to fight for, but then also carrying that vision and legacy and the strength that has been provided for us, carrying that on into the future as well. So I think it's really important looking at NAIDOC that it's an opportunity to celebrate our culture. It's an opportunity to share our culture with other people, and also for non-Indigenous people to be open to listening and coming with us on that journey as well.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
Josh?
Well, look, next generation, strength, vision, and legacy. For me, it really is about direction. You know, we are moving forward
Yeah.
as First Nations people.
Yeah.
You know, the referendum might have happened, might have been not been the result that most First Nations people wanted, but we still do have a voice. We still do have our voices.
Yeah.
We still do have our autonomy. We still do have that collective responsibility that we carry, which is so powerful. And so for me, that strength is still there.
Yeah.
And for me, there is still a vision of building our communities and families to a place where they are flourishing. And that legacy is really tapping in to that battle and the fight of the previous generation for us to continue it.
Yeah.
And really recognizing what they've done and us continuing that. And so in many instances, I really feel, you know, we are living in a time right now, a period of 5 to 10 years, where there is a handing over of the baton, of cultural responsibility, of social justice responsibility in our communities. Because we've had so many of our elders who have fought the good fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've established our health clinics,
Yeah.
our legal services. They've established and fought for, you know, identified positions in government departments to make sure that our voice is heard, to make sure our people are at the table where the decisions about our people are being made. And of course, there's a long way to go with that still.
Yeah.
But we do have First Nations people sitting in Parliament.
Yeah.
We do have First Nations people, you know, serving at high levels of government.
Yeah.
Of course, there's more areas to grow, but something has happened,
Yes.
which many people would have thought would be impossible 50 years ago. But that responsibility now is really being handed over from a lot of our elders who are getting to an age where they're getting quite older. Because when these services were established in the 70s and 80s, 40, 50 years ago now.
Yeah, that's right.
Some of these elders are getting quite old. And so that responsibility is coming down to younger people.
Yes.
And we've got to make sure that we carry what I call the wisdom of the elders, but the education and investment of the youth. And our elders have been encouraging us all my life for us to get educated, for us to gain our skills And now is the time for us to use their wisdom and those skills for us to carry that responsibility forward.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, because it's a big 50-year milestone this year for NAIDOC
Yeah,
It's huge.
in
That's right.
particular. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. And you use the word a few times, responsibility, and I think that's such a great way to describe it now, is that we have a responsibility now to carry on
Yeah.
the legacy that our elders, had laid the foundation for. And, a little shameless plug, my song For Our Elders that I released a couple of years ago based on the NAIDOC theme back in 2023, it really speaks about that, is, where in the chorus I say, for our elders, we will fight day and night and we will stand hand in hand. Because I think now, as you said, there's the passing of the baton where we now have to take it and run. And it's not a just take it and stay still and stay the same as we always have been. But yeah, we now, as you said, have a responsibility to really go into what the future has in store for our First Nations people. And I believe it's a bright future. We obviously still have challenges that we face as First Nations people, and we still run into some hurdles and some brick walls along the way, and that comes in way of how we are treated by people, but also in some of the lack of opportunities as well. But I think we're starting to pave a way that our elders first, they first laid the first pavements, and now we're going to continue on with that. And that brings me to my next question. You want to say something on that?
Yeah, I just want to say one more thing. And I think it's so important we recognize how we do it.
Yeah.
Because, it's one thing to say to do it. It's another thing to really think, how do we do it?
Yeah, that's it.
And for me, it's about, one, making sure we're doing our part and our share in being there for our community.
Yeah.
Making sure we're not getting just caught up in our own lives, our own careers, our own families. Making sure we're present in the community.
Yeah.
Maybe on a community committee, being at the community days, going to community meetings, making sure that us as First Nations people are coming together collectively to talk about what we need or expect or we want to see in our community in those spaces.
Yeah.
And that's second. And the second one is making sure we're using our voice.
Yes.
It's so important. If you're listening out there and you're not registered to vote, get registered to vote.
Yeah.
Make sure your voice is heard. Contact your MPs. Work together as a community to collectively say what's important to those who are in power, because they're the two ways we're going to move forward.
Yeah, that's it. And, I think it's important, like you said, we have a voice and we need people to hear our voice. And I think for too long, as a society, we've kind of, I think, almost been voiceless as First Nations people. But I think it's time that we stand up and, be loud and proud about who we are as Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples, and but not in an arrogant way or not in a way that's invasive or anything like that, but just to really stand on business, stand on who we are, and really promote our cultures as Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, because they're beautiful cultures, and you're talking about having a voice and especially with politics, we're going to go back to Tash here with your candidacy for what is it, Thuringowa, was it?
Yes, that was, yes.
Yes.
That was the area that I did run in.
Yeah, so I guess I've got a couple of questions around that. One is, how was it for you being an Aboriginal political candidate, in the way of, did you come across any struggles or challenges, any stereotypes that, may have come with that? And also, we're talking about having a voice and being a voice where sometimes, especially in a sphere like that, we could say is very Anglo-driven and very male-driven as well. So I guess I want to hear a little bit of how that was for you, not only as an Aboriginal person, but as an Aboriginal woman.
Yeah. There were three kind of instances, like for the most part. The reason I wanted to do it to start with was from the failed referendum. And I was like, this just sucks.
Yeah.
Like, this is just, what can I do to keep pushing forward, keep doing something about how kind of mob are represented.
Yeah.
And then, I was like, I'm just going to run. I'm just going to do it. As you get older in life, you kind of like, you want to live with no regrets. So that was one of the things, like, no regrets. I'm hitting a milestone birthday and I don't want to live with regret. So I was like, let's just do it. Had never thought about it before. Josh was probably like, big shout out to Josh, who would just support any crazy idea I come up with.
I love crazy. I love crazy.
Oh, we know.
Yeah. Hey, look out.
Hey, look
man.
out. I love crazy.
But so for the most part, women that I spoke to were always very encouraging, very kind of like I was encouraged by other women saying, you know what, like, good on you for stepping out, doing it. That was really positive. But there were 3 kind of incidents throughout the campaign where things were kind of just said to me directly or indirectly over social media, because we know everyone loves a keyboard warrior.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't
There's a
say
lot
it
of
to
them.
your face.
No, that's right.
But they'll say it in a message or
Yeah.
they'll write it. And I was quite surprised where that kind of attack came from people that you think that would support you.
Yeah.
And it's okay. Like, I don't expect everyone to support me, to believe me, to cheer me on. I don't need that from people.
Yeah.
But
But why be a troll, eh? Like,
yeah,
why be
like why?
trolling?
Why do it? But there was this incident. Someone came up to me and said, I just shared who I was and what I was doing. And she's like, you're not Aboriginal.
Hey, look at
Yeah. You've got blue eyes. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, well, I know who I am. But so, I am. But thanks for your opinion or something. That's what I said to her. And then this one time during pre-polling, like, you can go vote early. I did have this gentleman say to me, he was just trying to be like funny, but it wasn't funny. You're going to welcome me to my own country, or just like something real ridiculous.
Yeah, weird
and
stuff.
then he went on a little bit of a rant.
Oh, my goodness.
And I was just smiling because I like to live life where, your words aren't going to hurt me. I'm just going to smile. I'm enjoying life. Like, I'm
Yeah.
out here doing what I want to do.
Yeah.
Okay, like, thank you, next.
Yeah.
So,
It's very interesting. Like when you, because I did a lot of volunteering for Natasha's campaign,
yeah,
and when you're at the polling booth, everyone comes out. Like everyone comes to the polling booth to vote in those weeks. So you see everyone. You see the footy players. You see the other politicians. You see the local celebrities, and you see all the crazy people.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? They're all there.
yeah,
Yeah. That's interesting.
yeah.
I remember one time I had someone come up to me. I delivered a speech on something, and then one of the audience members comes up to me and they said, wow, you're really well spoken for an Aboriginal person.
Oh, don't.
Shut up.
And I said,
You're one of the good ones, Joel.
Yeah. Who's
I've
heard that
one.
before?
Oh, so many
Oh,
times.
you're one of the good ones.
Yeah.
And didn't one
Gonna
of your
slap you.
sister, when she went to school, they thought she couldn't read.
They said you can't be Aboriginal because you can read.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah.
And like, this is
Welcome
for
to Townsville.
us. Like,
Welcome to
this
Townsville.
So people like to think that these things don't actually happen,
Yeah.
but they actually really do
They
happen.
really do happen.
Everyone's got a story, eh?
Yeah.
That's right. And I think a lot of people, for some reason, are shocked when they find an Aboriginal person who's educated.
Yeah.
It's really not that shock horror. Like,
Nah.
there's a lot of us.
Yeah.
And so, but when that person said that to me, I was just like, oh my goodness, are you for real? And I said, well, what is an Aboriginal person supposed to sound like? And it's
Not like that.
Yeah, apparently not.
Yeah.
Because I grew up in South Australia. Like I'm Gunai Kurnai from Southeast Victoria, but I grew up in South Australia where, we pronounce words like chants and dance and things like that. And my mum's English as well.
Yeah.
So, I have, I guess, that influence in the way that I speak, but it doesn't make me any less Aboriginal.
That's right.
And like for that person to come up to you and say you're not Aboriginal because you've got blue eyes,
Yeah.
that's ludicrous.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh. When you see my face back on the video, my reaction to when you said that, I was just like, sorry.
Yeah.
And you talked about that gentleman that said, what are you going to welcome to me in my own country? we obviously hear that comment a lot or read it a lot on social media. And, you know, I want to talk a little bit about Welcome to Country. We've heard about it in a negative way a lot this year. I feel like more this year than previously. And I was talking with someone recently actually about you brought up the referendum, and obviously wasn't the result that a lot of people wanted, a lot of us First Nations people wanted. But this person said to me that they feel like it has almost empowered people to voice their opinions louder than they would have before. And
Yeah.
people have become more brazen in the way that they approach us as First Nations people. So, yeah, we obviously know there was the big incident surrounding the Melbourne storm with Welcome to Country. I don't know if I should have named them like that, but anyway.
You can edit it out.
It happened. It happened.
It happened. It was real.
Yeah, it was all over the news.
Yeah, so everybody knows it happened. And then also with Anzac Day, you know, we obviously know there was a couple of incidents here in Australia around Welcome to Country, and where people had some not so nice things to say about it. And I think a lot like that comment, "What are you going to welcome me to my own country?" I don't always think it comes from a place of malicious intent, but maybe more of a lack of education. Now, that's not me trying to excuse people's behaviour either, because I do know that there are some people that are malicious and, you know, have malice in their heart, and they would say it out of that place. But I guess I want to know what your thoughts are, and maybe some advice to people listening that maybe don't understand Welcome to Country.
Yeah.
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 Well, first thing I want to say is welcome to country is an English word, English words to describe a First Nations concept.
Yeah.
And anytime you try and use another language to describe something that's from another culture, there's always going to be gaps.
Yeah.
And so welcome to country isn't just like, oh, welcome. It's not saying that. What it's saying for me is I see you and I recognize you. I recognize who you are, I recognize how you carry yourself, and recognize your value.
Yeah.
And, you know, we live in a world and a society where so many people aren't being seen. Where we walk past the homeless, we walk past suffering, we walk past and neglect people all the time to protect ourselves. But this whole idea about welcome to country, acknowledging country, for me, it's a deeper level of actually saying, I see you.
Yeah.
I see you, come on in. I see you, we're together. I see you, we're here in this moment, present together. And that's a lot more powerful than to say, oh, hello.
Yeah.
And see, a lot of people, they don't understand that because it's not part of their culture. They don't understand it because they don't see the world as so collective. They just see it so individualistic. Their only concern is themselves or their immediate family.
Yeah.
But First Nation people, we have a collective culture. We have an extended view of family, an extended view of community. So what we're saying is, I see you and I value you, and we're here together.
Yeah. Awesome.
And
Yeah.
that's
and,
what it means to me.
Yeah, and I think when it comes to it being in the media and the political space, I think sometimes people can look at it and that can be the focus and they want to make it about that. But what about some of the other actual real issues that are facing First Nations people?
Yeah.
Like, why do we want to focus on this little thing here, but actually look at things that are actually affecting people's lives, like real issues affecting real people? And
It's definitely political football.
yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
You know, and for too long, First Nation people, we are not political tools. We're not political. We're not a political issue. We are people.
Yeah.
We're made in God's image, like everyone is. We have value of who we are.
Yeah, that's right.
And we're not here for a political agenda, to advance your individual political agenda. We're here to exist and flourish.
Yeah, that's right.
And they've got to, politicians have got to stop. And what I really hope after the last federal election, where Welcome to Country was made a political issue after those issues that you brought
Yeah.
up by the Liberal government who were in opposition. And what happened was that was brought up the week before the election. It went through all the media cycle, and the Liberal Party stayed in opposition.
Yeah.
They weren't voted in.
Yeah, that's right.
People stayed with the Labor government. Now, I spoke to some people who really saw that as a spark of hope,
Yeah.
to say there are people out there who do support and do understand our culture or just appreciate our culture and who we are as a
Yeah.
people. And so whatever side of politics you sit on, I'm not advocating one or the other, but I am saying there are some people who I saw, because of the way it was played in the media and because of the results of the election, they saw that as a spark of hope and encouragement.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And, I quite often see a lot of people mix up welcome to country and acknowledgement of country. Call it, I think everyone just calls both welcome to country. And I remember explaining it to someone that, it's I think the easiest definition that I've found is that a welcome to country is when you come to my house, I can welcome you into my house. But when I come to your house, I can acknowledge that I'm there. But I can't welcome people into your house because that's your house. And, I think, we, like you said, it's been politicized a lot. And now it's given people, I guess, a false sense of what it really is and why we do it. And I do also know that I've heard a lot of First Nations people say that it's almost become tokenistic and where they, I've actually spoken to a few First Nations people that have said this, and because I guess it starts to make you wonder, what is the authenticity behind the person actually doing it? Not so much welcome, but more acknowledgement, because we know that welcome needs to be done by a traditional owner. And so I guess, what are your thoughts on that thought of that concept of acknowledgement of country being tokenistic, and what is the authentic, I guess, drive behind it?
I think it's interesting because wherever you go in Australia, I think it's going to be different. Like, you go to a remote community, a welcome and acknowledgement is going to look different to when you're in regional and when you're in city. So I think we always like to try put labels on everything, put people into boxes. But I think it's a very interesting topic of conversation for some people.
Everyone's entitled to their own opinion.
Yeah.
But what I really wonder is, we live in a culture and society where we've got politicians or people who say things, not just welcome to country or acknowledgement to country, who say just general things without being authentic. So there's actually a lack of authenticity in our community and broader society. So
I almost kind of roll my eyes now.
So why?
I hate that word, authenticity.
Well, it's true because I've sat through a lot of welcome and acknowledgements, and there are some people who do an acknowledgement of country, and they mean it, and the way they do it, they mean it.
Yeah.
And how they live their life shows they mean it.
Yeah.
And then I've seen around other people who do it but don't really mean it.
Or it's a tick. It's just on the run sheet. It's a tick on the box.
Yeah.
And of course, it's not the acknowledgement that is the problem.
It's the heart.
It's actually the heart and the lack of authenticity of the person who's saying it.
Yeah, that's right.
And so if people, as Australians, we love people who are genuine. We like people to be real deal, not this fake thing.
Yeah, that's it.
And that's the real issue. It's got nothing to do with the concept of acknowledgement of country. It's got everything to do with our trust of each other and our expectations of each other.
Yeah.
And people just being fake.
Yeah, that's it. And I remember reading comments on some posts that were done by the NRL around Reconciliation Week just recently in May and June. And with the Welcome to Country that was done at one of the games, and one comment that I read a lot was, well, how much did they get paid for this? And I want to hear your thoughts on that, because obviously know that it's a cultural practice, but we also know that, you know, I'm just going to say it, gone are the days where black people do black things for free, you know, because we know that there is a price that has been paid for our elders, you know, and like we talked about, legacy being passed on to us. So I personally don't see an issue with an Aboriginal person, traditional owner, being paid for their service and being paid for their time. But for some reason, a lot of keyboard warriors do have an issue with that. So what are your thoughts on that?
Good one, Joe. What are my thoughts? I do have some thoughts. I don't know if I want to share them.
Well, I've got some thoughts. Everyone deserves to earn a living.
Yeah.
Everyone deserves to be valued, and everyone deserves to have their time valued.
Yeah.
And I don't know a lot of people who are comfortable to get up in front of 80,000 people and in front of 1 million people on TV and to say things and to speak up.
Yeah.
All right? So if you actually can carry yourself to a position where you can speak to 80,000 people live in a way that is respectful and elegant, you can speak in a way which 1 million people around Australia are watching you, of course that person should be paid. Because they're actually doing something, and that takes a special set of skills and is not very easy to do. And, you know, some of these people who say this, they can't even get up and speak in front of 10 people or 50 people.
Yeah.
You know, public speaking is one of the greatest fears in all of Australia. People hate speaking in public. And so I think people do deserve it. People can get up and present something. Of course they deserve to be paid.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important because, you know, everyone's got different skills and we all use those skills to build and contribute to our society. No one's there asking why my plumber charges me $200 an hour. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's it.
But it's you know, it's real.
Yeah.
That things cost money.
Yeah.
You know, that's the society that we live in.
Yeah.
You know, that it's not the Indigenous culture that set that society up. It's the Western system.
Yeah.
There's economic contribution and there's economic benefits.
Yeah.
And that's the system that we live in.
Yeah, that's it.
And
yeah.
that, look, brothers just trying to survive.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
I just know recently we got to watch the State of Origin game, the first game in Brisbane.
Yeah.
And during the Welcome to Country,
Yeah.
there were they asked the crowd to stand up, and like everyone around us stood up except for these 5 men. Okay,
Right in front of us.
Right in front of, like, they could have chosen anywhere else, but you know, right in front of Josh and Tash. These 5.
We were there. We were there with 30 Murrays. You know, like so
Hey,
a big
look
group of mob, and then these 5 fellas in the probably the only 5 people in the whole stadium. They all sit right in front of us. You know,
Yeah.
arms crossed. Oh,
Sitting there.
I'm so angry. I'm so cranky. We're just there to have a good game.
Yeah. Anyway, after the person did the welcome, everyone clapped, and I just thought, oh, that felt good. Like, that felt good. And the question I would have for those 5 men is, why did you feel the need to just sit down when everyone else was standing?
Yeah.
And so to me, it's not so much like, you can talk about like everything else to do with it, but at the end of the day, it's the heart that people have in understanding, I think, First Nations, the path, that the journey that we've been on back when whatever his name came to Australia, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
Captain Took.
I was purposely not saying it, but
Yeah, him and Arthur Phillips. Anyway.
but it's like, yeah, like, why did you feel the need to sit down? All these other people are clapping, and then their mates actually turned to them and said, oh, you can stand up now. Like, oh, what? You can stand up now because you don't. And I just think it's just, in Australia, from the failed referendum, I think it kind of exposed the heart of Australia in saying, look, there are things that people because they don't know about the journey that First Nations have been on,
Yeah.
then they're a little bit ignorant to things. And if you just sat down with someone and had a conversation, then you would begin to learn the truth.
Yeah, that's it.
And it was hard. Like, I remember leading up to the referendum, we would hear people talking about it in cafes.
Yeah, it was so awkward.
You know, we were just sitting down having a coffee.
We just
and
want to sit, have a coffee,
we hear
chill.
all these people whinging about the referendum in the background.
Mm.
You know, but I think what
The Aboriginals.
I love what Natasha said is it's exposed people's hearts.
Yeah.
You know, do we have hearts that see people and value people? Or do we have hearts that resent others?
Yeah, and which is a good thing, because then I think we can maybe start to work towards a journey where we can all go on together.
Towards that journey of reconciliation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
You know, recently I was at an AFL game with my sister, and there was one of the players on one of the teams. Won't name the teams, but he is of African descent, and this lady behind me very loudly said, "We wouldn't have to see him if the lights were out."
Oh, don't.
And I was so furious.
Why?
This anger just began to rise within me. Honestly, my blood was boiling, and I turned to my sister, who is. So you got to understand, my sister is the most non-confrontational person ever, and then there's me on the other hand, who I have no issue with
yeah, no,
confrontation.
you write things on social media all the time.
Yeah. So I'm very vocal, and
Hey, look out.
I look out, and I turned to my sister because I didn't want to embarrass her. I said, I want to say something. And when she said, say something, so shout out to you, my sister Lindy, I just turned around and I said, hey, that was really unnecessary, what you just said. Just pretty much cut it out. And anyway, she looked really shocked and whatever, and then I just ignored it. Turned around, kept enjoying the game, and then she grabbed me from behind.
Hey, look out.
Yeah, she grabbed me, and then she's like, I'm not a racist. You're a racist for saying I'm a racist.
Did you call her racist?
No, I didn't. I just said what she said.
But
He
was
just
just
said what he
unnecessary.
said.
Yeah.
Wow.
And and anyway, she was very upset by it.
She was upset by what she said? Nah.
Yeah, been called out.
Yeah. She was upset by being called out.
Yeah.
And then she started crying to
Oh,
her partner and
too
to her
awkward.
friends. And, this is not me. I know, blah, blah, blah.
Then why did she say
And
what she said?
I understand she was probably under the influence, but
Oh,
we
yeah,
also
yeah.
do know that sometimes has the effect to really, as you said, expose people's hearts. And so, but then her friends and partner kind of were like, what you said was racist. Her own people called her out.
Yeah.
Her family.
Yeah. And then she apologized to me and tried to hug me and all that. And then,
Ooh.
So she'd grab you, then she'd try to hug you.
yeah. I was like, oh
Do you
my
normally
goodness.
have this effect on people,
Couldn't,
Joe?
No, I
couldn't
don't think
keep,
so.
She couldn't keep his hand off him.
Hey, look out. Anyway, so I was still pretty upset by the whole incident.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm going to message the AFL and the two clubs that were playing and let them know. I didn't receive a response from any of the parties,
She
but
probably got banned for life, Joel.
hey, who knows? But because I was willing to tell them what seats I was in because they would have known who she was by the seats behind me.
Oh,
So,
yeah. Okay,
you know,
I get it.
But anyway, I didn't receive any response from the AFL or from the two clubs that were playing, but that's okay. I just needed to
Do something.
do something and voice my concern around this.
Use your voice.
Yeah, and I think that's been a big drive for me to want to do this podcast as well, is to use my voice to speak up for our people and to stand up for our people. And yeah, I think that we are seeing, like you said, about since the referendum, a lot of people are now being more vocal about how they truly feel and expose the heart of this nation. And but in saying that, we also do recognise that there are a lot of really good people.
Yeah, totally.
Non-Indigenous people that
Yep.
love our people and
that
support
support
us
and
stand
we're
with
handing
us.
out brochures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
There
sure.
are a lot of people that do support,
Yeah,
but yeah, I think there's a journey forward.
yeah, absolutely. And I want to shout out a really good friend of mine. Her name is Michelle Lene. She is non-Indigenous. She's a lecturer, and she she lectures at Hillsong College,
Yep.
and she gets Pastor Will Doomas in to talk about Aboriginal spirituality in a Christian
Oh,
context.
yes. Yep.
And so, and she loves our people and stands with our people, supports our people. So, shout out to you, Michelle, if you're listening. But I've got a couple little rapid fire questions for you guys.
Okay.
Yes.
okay.
Go for it.
Okay, so the first one: who is your favorite Indigenous First Nations singer?
Joel Wiggins.
Jessica Malboy.
Yeah, thank you, Joshua. Yeah,
Sorry.
no, be for real though. I don't care if it's not me because yeah, I wouldn't have chosen me. I would have chosen Jessica Malboy over myself.
Oh, yeah, no, we love Jess.
Yeah.
Jess is like,
Yeah,
yeah.
she's awesome.
Yeah.
She's very cool. What is your favorite native dish?
Kangaroo. I love kangaroo.
I like eating turtle because like we used to do that at Christmas time when I was a kid. So it reminds me of like good family vibes. Big
Oh,
turtle.
true.
Happy
When
memories.
you said turtle in Christmas, it made me think of those turtle doves. You know, the 5 days of Christmas. Remember that song?
Yeah,
Yeah.
5 turtle.
Oh no, what's 12 days of Christmas?
Yeah.
Yeah,
5
look
days
out.
of
I reckon
Christmas?
5 days of Christmas. Hey, look out.
Five gold rings.
Fun
that-
fact: we don't eat kangaroo because my brother's name Jira means kangaroo in our
Really?
dialect. Yeah, so shout out to
Oh,
my baby
sorry.
brother Jira. No, you're right. Eat it up if you want.
Yeah. I
Tash,
love
Tash goes
Australia's
hunting.
like-
She got hunting at Woolies there for that kangaroo
I
section.
know, $12 a kilo, eh?
She get that spear, just put it straight through that packet.
Stop.
And then chuck it straight in that
Yeah,
trolley.
yeah.
Hey, look out.
I say, where are you going to Woolies with that spear for?
Stop. I do
You go
love
paint it up too, eh? Hey, look out.
chicken vermicelli
Chicken vermicelli,
that
yeah.
Josh's family used to make.
Oh,
Delicious.
yum.
Yeah, I might make some up.
Yeah, what are you doing?
Yum. Oh, this is making me hungry.
Yeah,
now.
right, again?
Hey, I know, hey. All right. Favorite First Nations movie?
Oh. Like Rabbit Proof Fence
Yep.
broke my heart.
Yeah.
So that movie for me is a standout
Yeah.
just because watched it, broke my heart, and then it's just one that I've always remembered. So yeah.
I think I like Brand New Day. Dan Sultan's he in that
Yeah,
one?
yeah,
yeah.
He's so
Yeah.
deadly. Like.
Yeah. I'm going to say mine is The Sapphires, probably because I'm a singer.
Yeah, I
And
knew.
Jess
this one.
Malboy.
Yeah.
But my favorite line is when, what's that Irish fella's name? I can't remember. You know the one in the movie?
The Brand New Day. or something?
And no, in The Sapphires. And
Yeah,
he
yeah,
says-
the
yeah,
guy,
I
the
know who you're
comedian.
talking
The
about.
comedian, yeah.
And he says to Deborah Malman, how do you feel about singing backup? And she says, how do you feel about getting knocked out by a woman?
Woo!
That's my favorite line. Anyway.
The sass, I love
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. So, and final question. If you could meet any First Nations celebrity, who would it be?
Oh, good one, Joel.
You can't say Joel Wiggins.
I'd say Stan Grant,
Mm,
the journalist, yeah.
yeah. That's a good
He's
answer.
awesome, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I would like to meet Linda Burney.
Yeah.
Mm,
I met Linda last year,
Yeah,
yeah.
you did. I've heard her speak, like been in the room while she's spoken.
yeah,
But I think she's just such an inspiration, especially for Indigenous women.
Yeah.
yeah.
And also last week, like little shout out here because this was a like fangirl moment. I got to meet Leanne Enoch,
Oh, wow.
MP. So
Yeah,
she,
wow.
if you don't know, she's the first Queensland state Australian Aboriginal woman. So, and she only got voted in like 2015. So
Wow.
not that long ago, like 10 years ago.
Wow, to be,
So when I
that
got
journey,
to
that's
meet
good.
her, I was just like trying to act normal, trying to act cool. But
Yeah.
on the inside, I was like, I'm so excited I got to meet you.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So mine obviously would be Jess Malboy. But my favorite, I guess, First Nations celebrity that I have met would definitely be, I love them all, but I love Troy Cassadaly.
Oh, yeah,
okay,
Troy,
yeah.
yeah.
His music's incredible, you know.
Yeah.
Huge fan of his music, and huge fan of country music as well.
Good old country.
Country music is where it's
Yeah.
at. Yeah, but I just want to say thanks, Josh and Tash, for coming on the very first episode of the A Lookout podcast. You've been great guests.
Yes.
And I feel like our listeners and even myself have learned a lot from you guys. So thanks for coming.
Well, thanks, Joel, for having us.
Anytime.
We're cheering you on.
Yeah.
Awesome. This podcast was made possible by the Gunnar Kurnai Land and Waters Aboriginal Corporation And this episode was recorded at Townsville City Library's digital studio.